What's going on? Welcome back. So today we are going to go over, I'm going to have my reactions. Haas unveiled their car. I've been pretty busy. Haven't heard much about it. Talked to the bros a little bit about it this morning while we were getting ready for some things we're trying to get ready for you all. So I figure I'm going to go ahead, pick one of these channels, go over the reveal from the car, give some notes, say what I think. Matter of fact, below in the comment section, tell me what you think about the new Haas unveiling, whether you like it, you don't like it, what other teams are you looking forward to seeing their cars? So let's get into this. Let's see what Haas has got for us, and I'm going to let you know what I have for you.
The first 2022 Formula One car has
like that.
broken cover.
Nice
Although
color
the
scheme.
images that have been released of the Haas VF22 are computer renderings, they
Whoa,
do
whoa, 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 whoa! Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. This shit ain't real. This ain't even real. Like, Haas. Come on, Haas. Why you bringing us fake ass shit? Like, I'm thinking this gonna be the real ass car. This ain't even the real car. Like, we and the bros they didn't even mention that. I don't even know if they know that. I don't even know if they paid attention to that verbiage in the beginning. This shit is a rendering. It's time to like really step up. We continue, but I'm disappointed already. Like, I don't even know if I want to continue watching this shit because it's not a real car. It's not a real car.
show the genuine design of the car, or at least as much of it as Haas wants us to see. So this was more than
So that might tell me
just
why
a
they
launch of
didn't
delivery.
want to reveal some of it, because
This
they don't
gives
want
us
to
the first
reveal
look at a
certain
genuine car
shit.
built to the dramatically changed
Tips and tricks
2022
they may
technical
have.
regulations, which are designed
Ooh,
to improve the
ooh,
car.
look at those wheels. That wheel and tire package. I'm not sad to say that wheel and tire package kills the other one. Look at that aspect ratio. Look at those wheel covers. Look at just the proportion of the wheel tire combination with the actual car. I'm loving that. And that rear wing, I'm loving that rear wing. Although here we cannot tell how DRS is going to be activated, because there's no way in here that we can see a mechanism or a hinging point that is showing that. So, you know, keep that in mind too. But I do like what I see
Quality
so
of the
far.
racing on track. But it's also a car that could play a
Oh,
decisive role
look
in
at
the
that
long-term
carbon
future of
fiber in
Haas
that rear
by
exhaust.
turning it into a
And by the way, this little area right here, I don't know if people know this or
midfield
not,
contender.
but that is not. Let's go back a little bit. Let's just go back, son. Let's just go back a little bit. This area right here. So recently, I am getting the car upgrade. I'm doing a wide body upgrade. With that, several other parts or areas of the car are being upgraded, like the headlights, the tail lights, etc. So the tail lights, I'm working with Spec Fab, good company, by the way, and they have a choice where you could do the F1 braking. So when I hear this, I laugh because there are no brake lights on the F1 car. So I asked, why do they call this F1 braking? And they were like, because, you know, the Formula One cars, when they brake, they flash. I'm like, you do know that's not a brake light. Most people don't know it's not a brake light. Just food for thought.
Long-term future of Haas by turning it into a midfield contender after spending the past 2 years in the competitive wilderness and effectively giving up on 2021 to focus.
I am hoping. I don't know if you watched my last video about the bottom 3 teams becoming top 10 competitors. I am hoping that with all of these changes, with the implementation of a new car, new components, that maybe the drivers will be the variable that might actually give those bottom teams possibly to creep up into the top 10, if not for just a portion of the season, maybe all season. Because one thing that you cannot manufacture is a driver's ability to adapt to major changes. Just because another driver is still talented and with a better, more engineering, more money team, which gives them a competitive edge, you can't change the fact that even if a team's with a driver's with a less, competitive team, his ability and talent to be adaptive and conform to change faster than others might show here. It just might. Just keep that in mind.
All of its resources on this new car.
I like that lid.
The Haas images aren't the definitive car that will take to the track for the first pre-season test in Barcelona on February 23rd. But they are the car as it was at a recent point in the design process.
Ooh, look
so
at that
Haas
coning.
is keeping a
Look at
few
that coning
secrets,
on those tires.
there's plenty to be learned from it.
This is a pretty good ass
With the
rendering.
help of observations from the race's
look at those
technical editor
winglets,
Gary
those wake
Anderson and our technical illustrator Rosario Juliana, let's take a closer look. The front wing features the maximum 4 elements permitted by the regulations.
That's good.
It has the simplified end plate with the slot gaps continuing around the lower outer corner as part of rules designed to prevent outwash aero. The front suspension is a
Now remember, a lot of this car prides itself on less dirty air, aerodynamics. All right, just straight out. This platform prides itself on improved aerodynamics, downforce, better cleaning up the dirty air behind the leading car for chase cars to be more competitive. So we're probably going to hear a lot of that.
Rod design, which is a surprise given Ferrari is expected to have a pull rod design, and Haas takes as many parts as it can from its technical partner, including the suspension. The push rod goes directly to the outer end of the wishbone, meaning the push rod...
I'm going to say this, because I've said this before. I just think it's very cliche that the only American Formula One team is paired with Ferrari, given the historical data that we know or past that we know with Ford versus Ferrari. I would have thought that maybe Ford would have got off their ass and said, yo, let's do it again. Let's go in with Haas and really start developing technology and just be a competitive Formula One driver like we did it for the Le Mans. Let's do it for Formula One. Let's compare those notes, come out with something beastly, and let's make a Ford motor that's going to compete at Formula One. I just wish they would have did that. I do.
Angle is very low and leading to high loads in the suspension components. But if you look at the image of the front suspension closely, you will see that where the pushrod meets the chassis, it's not blended in like the other suspension members. Could it be that Haas is hiding the real design for Ferrari, and it perhaps will have a pull rod configuration after all? We'll find out when we get to the first test.
I like that carbon.
The radiator inlets and underfloor leading edge are now much simpler as the multi-element barge boards are gone. Haas still retains some small turning vanes, but these are minuscule compared to what we've seen in the past. The underfloor inlet is much higher than in the past, as are the radiator inlet ducts. They're also quite small, but to compensate for that...
Let's look at that. Look at the inlet duct compared to the old version to the new version. That's almost half the size. You're missing half the area to collect air there. What kind of change is that going to bring? Is that going to create a heating issue? Are they going to have to formulate and devise more components to, which the car already weighs more, but are they going to have to come up with something to increase cooling temperatures? Are our temperatures going to be crazy now? That's going to be something to look forward to in the season.
They're in a very clean area for airflow. The
I can
side
tell
pods
you
are
what,
also
that suspension area
dramatically
looks
swept
better.
back behind the widest point.
Look at all that voluptuousness. Look at that. Look at that, just that swell of a body there, and it just narrows and tapers off like a buff-ass person. I love that profile. That profile. Now, that profile is different than the profile that we saw on the prototype. The prototype, I think, was a bit larger as it went back.
Which is defined by the mandatory side impact crash cones. The show car released by F1 last year was much bulkier in the coke bottle area. I just said it. But the Haas is more similar.
You can see it. Look at it. Look how much wider the prototype stayed out. More smoother, gradual reduction. Whereas you come over here to what we're seeing via rendering, not the actual car, which is a disappointment. But you see how very abrupt and acute the cut is to go narrow. That's different. I don't know why they may have done that, but maybe we'll find out.
In shape to a 2021 car. As with the previous generation of cars, the aim is still to accelerate the airflow towards the rear of the car for maximum aero benefit. The rear bodywork is quite compact around the gearbox, so again not as large a radiator exit as we've seen in the past. This gives more room between the sides of the bodywork and the inside of the rear wheel, and will allow more high-speed airflow through this area and over the top of the diffuser's upper surface. This should improve the performance of the diffuser.
So lovely.
At the rear, Haas has retained the pull rod rear suspension design, but again, it's possible it could be hiding some detail here. The rear wing, like the front wing, is as defined by the regulations, All of the surfaces blend together to reduce the vortices and the turbulence interfering with the following car.
See,
the
there we
DRS
go.
is also
Cleaning up
conspicuous
dirty
by
air.
its absence, but as it remains in the rules, it will
DRS
be
is
on the
not
real
there,
car.
but I'm looking forward to
Haas
see what they
will
come
also
up with.
benefit from the 2022 specification Ferrari engine.
Now listen, that's another thing. The Ferrari situation post the FIA investigation that didn't yield any investigation results, but resulted in a fine for Ferrari because evidently something was done wrong, is very funny to me. But the motor after that really wasn't that impressive. Like Sainz did a great job, and I think honestly he may have established himself ahead of Charles in the Ferrari team, which I didn't think was going to happen. I thought Charles was really going to step up, but he didn't. So we'll see what happens
That
this
means
season.
it will get the hybrid upgrade introduced by
Love
the
those
works
cannon
team in the
plugs.
final
Love
third
them.
of last season.
I'm going to put cannon plugs
but
on
it
the
will
Integra.
also benefit from the big step hoped for from the aggressive design improvements for this year.
I love that.
That include changes in the combustion system.
system.
It also
I
means
wish
the
I
whole
would've
power
thought
unit
about that
package
before I had
should
these
be a
wheels
little more
made.
compact.
That's cool.
As this is the first 2022 F1 car, how does it compare to the show car unveiled at Silverstone last year?
Ooh, look at that. Now, even on the side profile, you can see the difference as they changed that body up. Whereas this one has a bit more area, creating like a valley between the floorboard and the body, which maybe it caused some type of channeling issue. Maybe they found out it really wasn't working well. Maybe it didn't clean up the air as much as they thought. But I'm really interested to see why a lot of some of the things from the prototype didn't translate over to the actual cars. Are some of these things changes that they're allowing teams to make? Also, pay attention to this area right here, the inlet duct for the cooling. Notice how this one has a leading edge that comes up a bit further on toward the nose, which is, to me, inviting airflow to come in and start grabbing that air and forming it and structuring it, making it more disciplined to go into the duct. Versus down here on what we're seeing, we're not getting that leading edge, and it's very abrupt and it's more forward. This one kind of falls back. I think this is more inviting for air. Maybe not. Maybe it's missing some, and maybe that's why they changed it. I would also like to know that.
Well, it's structurally similar, but there are some key differences. The front wing shape, for example, differs with a far more aggressive
really
sweep,
different.
particularly where it drops down towards the nose.
Yeah.
The detail at the front of the Venturis at the leading edge of the floor are also narrower and with a more aggressive shape, but with fewer elements. Although, of course, it's likely hiding the real design.
That's true.
The nose is also a lot narrower than the wider version we saw last year. The first time Haas has switched to a narrow nose concept. This is because, even with these new regulations, teams still want to maximise the airflow to the front of the floor, as we saw during the previous rule cycle. You're watching the...
So, there it is. What do you think? What are your thoughts on the new Haas car? Like, what do you think about the new Haas car in comparison? I like it. I like the color. I like the concept. I like the coordination. I love the carbon fiber. I don't know so much if some of the things I don't like are really about Haas, more so what the final product is. We'll have to see as things start developing. And as we also see other teams coming out with their cars, if these subtle changes are different, then we know that teams are already trying to get the edge on making their own variations of these vehicles. And then we will see if the FIA will come out and say, nope, yes, no, yes, gray area, we can't do shit. We'll see how they go. So below in the comment section, let me know what you think about the new cars as they're unveiled. I will get the schedule and see if we'll do more of these as these cars come out, view them together. But other than that, don't forget, it's Black History Month, which is crazy for it to be 1 month. It should be all the time because it's part of it's part of the world history, period. So definitely inform yourself on something that's involved in a different culture, different manner, not necessarily Black or African or European or Spanish. Just make yourself diverse in knowing many different cultures, as we all are one human race, and that is the only race. All right. So with that being said, you know what I say? You see the shirt, just build it. Peace.